I saw your face, you little beggar. You get my foot up your backside.
Hey, King Kong.
Huh?
You're up a bit bright and early, aren't you?
A little monkey's under the viaduct there.
Ah, well, it's just animal high spirits, Stan. I'm full of them myself of a morning.
Oh, you're lucky. You want pop last night? Heavy, I mean.
Well, I had a bit of a taste after you left. Nothing overindulgent, like. Just a quiet half. Half a gallon.
What are you doing up so early?
I've run out of ciggies, haven't I? Somebody must have pogged a packet off me last night when I was drunk. I remember getting 20 just on closing time.
Oh, you want to watch these blackouts?
Blackout's nothing. I remember exactly everything that happened to me. After I fell on the bed, I was ill. Oh, well, I'm off to Warner's. Anything you want? Any papers, like?
Oh, get us a bottle of dandelion and burdock, will you? It'll be like some with a Sunday dinner.
What are you doing out, anyway? You stand there with your great gut wafting in the morning breeze, looking like Custer's last stand.
I'm waiting for somebody.
Oh, aye? Oh, you pick some nice romantic spots, don't you? What's up? You're ill to been out on the loose with a yank, something?
Go get your papers, you big Murray.
Well, I am doing, aren't I? Will you be here when I get back?
I could be, yeah.
Oh.
Got your sandwiches, love?
Yeah.
Now, I hope it keeps fine. But listen, love, if it gets misty, now you and Rosemary must go straight back to the station.
Yeah, all right.
Now, promise, love, I don't want them to have to call out those tracker dogs for you.
No, we're only mucking around, you know. Try.
Bye-bye, love.
Oh, Dad, it scared the wits out of me. Do you know, I thought it was that big old station out of Victoria Street. Anyway, get up, dear Dad.
I'm waiting for Bert Lodge.
Hi, Lucy. Just look at the state of that. Have you ever seen anything of so? Come on, Dad, get up. It looks as though you're drunk.
I'm tired.
Haven't Bert Lodge brought our milk yet, then?
No.
Where are you going with your little diddy bag?
It's about his time, that's why I've come out.
Mrs. Walker thinks I'm going walking in Dovedale with Rosemary. I'm going to Blackpool dancing. We're going dancing this afternoon, all afternoon. Hey, and if you tell her, I'll murder you.
Oh, you're starting that caper, are you? I remember her telling me once she was going to a Girl Guides jumbo sale. When she came home, she... Ah, it's about time I sent a postcard to Ireland about you, young woman.
Hey, we're not going to come to no harm. I mean, coach gets back at 7 o'clock. Try.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Hey, is she going wild out, Irma? Is she going out with lads and all that?
I don't know, Father, I'm sure. I don't know what they're seeing, lads.
Morning.
You check your time, don't you?
Oh, you see, I like to leave you till last, darling. You're a bit too much for me too early on it round.
Oh, can you hear how they talk about me, your own daughter?
Ah, they're all the same these days. Hey, I'm going to call you, but listen, I want your advice.
What, at this hour at morning?
Ah, well, you finished at 11, don't you? We don't see you after that anyway. Now, listen, do you think I could get a job at your place? You know, think I could get around?
Well, I'll ask Algie if you like. Hey, do you think it's quite your style?
Oh, I've been looking for a morning job. One where you knock off at opening time, you know.
Hey, shapeless, shape yourself. There's a woman here with a mouth like the bottom of a bird cage.
Hello, Mrs. Tanner. Here, that'll keep you going.
That's very big of you.
You see a bit of the word too, don't you?
Oh, you have to shut your eyes to a lot of things. Mind you, it's not all 11 o'clock end, you know.
I see you. Put a good word in, will you?
All right.
Ta-ra, mate.
That milk gets cheekier every day.
You've had some bright ideas in your time.
Later and later, and he never apologises.
This one's going to kill us.
Oh, I just can't drink it without milk.
Yeah, well, I think it'll fit. Well, diet carbon monoxide poisoning, you know.
Oh, shut up and get shoving it up the chimney. It'll be worthwhile to see her face.
She's not coming till 11 o'clock.
Oh, never mind. Have you got everything nice and ready? Have you got that wet cardigan ready to stick there?
Why is it always me head up with soot up to my armpits?
Oh, stop moaning, will you, and get it shoved up. Oh, I think we're going to win, kid. Now, let's see. We'll have a nice little bit of rising damp down here, eh?
Morning. TT week coming up?
Oh, hello, Mr. Sharple.
Gee, I'm surprised a young fellow in your position isn't going in for the motor car. It'd be very handy to give me a lift over to Alvera's.
Not yet, Mr. Sharple. Tell you what, though, put your slacks on this afternoon, come on the back. Do a bit of ton-up stuff on the M6.
No, don't like them motorways.
Chicken.
You know, I wonder you don't get an ordinary bike. They're much nicer than this. You know, in the old days, we thought now to bake it by looking down to, well, where? Bakewell for the day. We used to have a very good time.
You used to sit side saddle with Mrs. Colwell, did you?
I've still got a bit of grit in my knee where I fell off a bike when I was 16. Albert and Taplock and I, we got our front forks lock coming down a steep brune hill in Rivington.
Yeah, you must have been a bit of a suffragette cycling in those days.
Aye. My mother thought I was a bit fast, if you must know.
On those immoral machines.
Ah, Mr. Sharples. We're just going for a spin before service.
Don't talk so soft.
Miss Nugent and I are just going to spend a brief hour at the shop clearing up after our very successful sale.
I'm very happy for you both.
Did we get out of bed a little on the wrong side this morning?
Well, I don't know about you.
Mr. Swindley was merely saying that we would be at the shop before service. He merely wished to check the hymn numbers with you.
Well, why doesn't he say what he means, then?
Let's hope you're in a better humour at the harmonium.
Bit changeable, aren't you, Mrs. Sharples?
Oh, he needs a bit of paddywhack. He gets a bit above himself. Ta-da.
Ta-ra.
Is it going to be all right?
Sure. No bother.
I better wake Uncle Albert. What time's your dad expecting you?
We're only going for a drink, you know. Back by dinner.
He's not going on the back of the bike, is he, Uncle Albert?
Well, it depends how dashing he's feeling this morning. No, we'll probably go by bus.
You won't mind me not going, will you? Because I don't feel up to it today.
No, I'll tell him you're doing your exercises or something. Hey, how'll it be, though, love, while I'm gone?
It's not due before dinner, you know.
Hello, pal. What's up?
Ken says how you fit. I thought if you were going to his dad, you might want to knock up.
Oh, we had forgotten all about that. Oh, how can lad? What time is it?
Just gone 9.
Well, we won't have to be there long, will we?
What's your panic?
Well, I haven't done any bumping at number 11 yet. I don't want to be out to the side of town when it
Oh,
happens.
come off it, Uncle Albert. Elsie Tan and Enid Sharples done enough fighting last of a lifetime. It'll all blow over.
Oh, surely they won't start.
Now, just you look back through history, Val. If you'd lived as long as I have, you'd know very well that wars always start on a Sunday.
I can't think why Mrs. Sharples is so cantankerous.
Oh, she's just a silly old woman.
In an hour she'll be playing hymns for us. We mustn't harbour any feelings of anger, but... I've tried to reason with her. I've given her the benefit of doubt in arguments. I've bowed to her judgment, and still she...
Well, if the Glad Tidings does close down and she has to leave, she'll regret all the time she's made you look small. I mean...
Oh, I know very well that she's bested me, often. Sometimes in company. I wouldn't admit this to everyone, Miss Nugent. But sometimes when she's in full flight against me, and other people are present, I feel the sweat in the small of my back.
Yes, I can understand that.
If only one could understand her motives.
Well, I have a theory. I've been toying with it for some time. Perhaps you actually resemble, facially, someone from her past. A cruel father or an intolerant teacher. And perhaps, unknown to herself, Mrs. Sharples is punishing you for her own unconscious hate of this other man. I wouldn't worry. As a committee member, you'll always have the upper hand. And this situation can't last forever.
No.
Whatever else they may say about Mrs. Sharples, Jack, you've got to admit she's got a lovely touch.
Aye. And Elsie Tan will give her a lovely touch when she catches up with you.
I think you're over-dramatising things.
Over-dramatising nothing.
Well, it's very quiet now.
Yes, well, it was the same in 1939, weren't it, eh? The phony war.
Oh, that didn't last long, love. We were soon told very different.
Aye. Who's going to tell us next time?
I don't know, love.
Aye. All right.
But don't you worry, Jack. You know, I think Elsie Tanner's days of streaming at street corners are over now. I think she's learning, as we all have to do eventually, how to grow old gracefully.
I'm telling you, she'll not take this lying down. She'll hang such a one on Enid Sharples.
I think you're mistaken, love, and I hope so anyhow, because I don't feel like much excitement today.
How would you like to be chucked out of your own house, eh? You wouldn't thank Enid Sharples for the privilege, would you? Stands to reason, don't it? Eh?
Jack!
What is it?
Mrs. Sharples is going into number 11 now.
I told you blood was going to be spilled, didn't I, eh?
Morning. Hey, Mrs. Walker, Stan says he's going to get a milk round.
Eh? What, between the shafts? Pulling Bert Lodger's wagon?
Is it Mrs. Walker?
Hey, keep quiet, Mrs. Ogden. Annie's watching for Apache smoke signals from number 11 and war drums.
It's just sheer neglect.
Not on our part, it's not Mrs. Sharples.
You just let everything go to pot.
Doesn't take much of a shove to get this house to go to rack and ruin.
You must have put something on it to burn that.
Yes, and I suppose that's the last thing a fireplace is for.
Well, it's either that or a bird has built a nest up in its chimney pot or
Oh,
something.
don't talk so soft, Mrs. Sharples. Bert have got more sense than to come living in a slum like this.
I'll just have a look through the upstairs window and see if I can see what it is.
You do that, love. Ooh.
What's that?
Well, it isn't where I threw a bottle of champagne at our dentist this morning.
There was no damp patch on there the last time I come here when you gave me that list of repairs you wanted doing.
I'm damn sure there wasn't, Mrs. Sharples. This house is full of surprises. A lake on my living room wall, a floorboard that drops me down into the cellar, and a brick that hits me on the head every time I go to the bin.
Funny how they all come in a rush, isn't it?
I don't give a monkey's how funny you think it is. You won't think it's so funny when the whole house collapses round your head one starlit night.
Got plenty of life left in it yet.
It's got about as much life as you have.
What's this?
What's that? It's flaking, that's what that is.
Yes, and you'd be flaking and all if that young lump of a son of yours was jumping up and down on top of you.
He is walking normal.
Wearing surgical boots, he's walking normal.
When my husband was here...
Oh, by gum, can you never forget
When
that?
my husband was here and them flags subsided in the backyard, he went to the town hall, he saw the borough surveyors, he saw a map. Number 3 seam of the Brew Colliery runs right underneath this house, underneath this very room.
Oh, give up.
It runs underneath Elliston's Lodge, underneath the 109s at the Loxley, and that is why the chip shop was flooded in Rosamond Street.
It'll do me all right in spite of your fairy tale.
Look, it's as true as I'm sitting here with plaster flakes in me hair. You'll believe it right enough when you and your bed subside down number 3 seam in the colliery in the afternoon shift.
Just how damp is it?
Look, I can't keep a bed dry. Just feel underneath that carpet. It's all swollen up. Every bit of 3-ply in the house, and God knows there's enough of that.
Oh, it's not as warm as my place, I'll give you that.
Oh, in this weather you can't take a glass of water upstairs without it's frozen before 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I thought I'd fixed that.
The man who put this house together wants locking up and his clothes burning.
Well, I must admit I closed my eyes a bit when he gave me that list of repairs. I must say, I've seen places in better nick.
I've seen hen houses in better nick.
Well, thank you for showing me. That lavatory wants seeing too much,
Oh,
doesn't
don't
it?
mention the lavatory to me.
Well, thank you for coming, Mrs. Sharples.
It's all right. I'll let
Wait.
myself out.
We'll be hearing from you.
You will.
Do you think she...
Of course she bought it. We had her all roads. She won't touch this place with a 5-foot muck rake.
Oh, hello, Ina. Have you had a look?
Oh, yes, I've looked.
Were you just inspecting?
Oh, they dressed it up like the fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, what do you mean, Ina?
Oh, they were cracking on it with Skid Row, splashing water on the walls, pulling doorknobs off. I wonder they didn't have a couple of rats running along the floor while I was there.
Oh, why would they do that, Ina?
Because they think I'm puddle, that's why. They think I'm senile.
Oh, you're not so green as your cabbage looking, are you, Ina?
Well, I don't know what they thought they were going to get out of their little pantomime. Rising damp.
Do you like the house?
Well, it's somewhere to dump myself, isn't it? She can get out. Oh, Lord. She's the worst actress since Jean Harlow. Here's to her.
Oh, I'm sure she wasn't trying to fraud you deliberately, Ina.
She'd even put a piece of wet coconut matting on that fire to make it look as though there was smoke in the room out.
But Elsie Tanner has been in that house a long time. It's only natural she should try to keep you out.
She has not been in that house as long as I have been in my vestry. Somebody chucks me out, I chuck her out. An eye for an eye and a bed for a bed.
Well, why don't you just get a room at Elsie Tanner's?
What? I'm taking charity off no one. She'd keep me in one room like a mother-in-law. She'd have me babysitting with Dennis while she went out at night bopping with bootmakers.
Well, you're welcome to share my house.
Me and you are not going in with one another.
Well, until one of us can't fend for themselves. Well, we've got our health and strength, we keep out of each other's hair.
It would be no bother. You could have your own room.
No, I prefer my own house. I like to have a room where I can undo my corsets in front of fire and nobody to say me nay.
Well, Charlie's very broad-minded. He sits in his stocking feet.
There's a difference between stocking feet and underthings.
Well, I rather like the company.
Ah, that's because you're man-mad. Me, I either take 'em or leave 'em.
Well, don't forget, Over the Waves.
Nice and rallentando. Molto vivace.
And you?
Yeah, you know what my favourite brass band piece always were? The All of the Mountain King. I think it were from Mikado.
Oh, don't be a daft ape, it was from Peer Gynt.
Yeah, he was stand-up half for Wakefield Trinity, you know, Albert.
I took up Val's trombone once. My Uncle Eli used to have one. 8 brass band used to rehearse it loft over at Crown and Anchor then. I was doing very well too. I'd learnt first 12 bars at Cornet Carillion and then I started going out with lasses.
Ah, my lips gone all to pot. I don't think I could do Flight of the Bumblebee on my little cornet now.
I think my lips would go to pot and all if I had 'em soaked in 5 pints of that stuff you drink every night. By heck, I could slap that bass, though.
Player's temptation, then. What are you having to drink?
Oh, I think I could shove a pint down me. How'd it go, love?
Oh, all right, I think.
Did she accept that doorknob bit?
I think she will do.
Certainly return to the turnpike, please.
No, hey, don't forget, start off with light cavalry.
What with this lot? You'll be lucky.
Hey, up. Is she not moving in with you, then?
No, well, we finally convinced her that it was the Black Hole of Calcutta. Don't move your lips. She's over there in the snug.
Tell you.
It's, all right, Mrs. Sharples. I'll pay for that.
That's very kind of you, Mrs. Tanner.
That's all right, Mrs. Sharples.
You know, I am glad you've patched it up, Mrs. Sharples. It would have been most unpleasant if Mrs. Tanner had actually ended up on the street.
Well, now, Mrs. Tanner might have known I wasn't serious until I give her a notice in writing.
Of course, that's absolutely right, Mrs. Sharples. I was only saying,
So
actually...
would you pass that over to her, please?
What's this, Mrs. Sharples?
Just pass it over to Mrs. Tanner, will you?
Mrs. Tanner? You...
What's this, Mrs. Sharples?
What do you think it is? A birthday card? It's your notice. Official.
You what?
It's your notice. It says, take your hook out of my house, only it says it more polite than that. I don't care. You take on with me like that.
Hey, come on now.
Jack, send for the police!
Never mind about police. Get a bucket of water. That's all that separates dogs.
No, it'll separate them two now, short of death.
Don't you out to me.
Don't you out! And listen to what I've got to say.
Look, this bag was a birthday present. It's not a plaything for any common harpy to go on.
What did you call me?
Hey, come on, please, Silver. You're joking, Dad. This is better than that.
Well, Mrs. Tanner, she can evict you if she wants you.
It's just the mean, sneaking, underhand way she does everything.
There you are. There you are. Do you see her do that? That's provocation. You saw start the physical side of this thing.
Physical side of you over that wall, you old bat, you bandy-legged old bat.
Bandy-legged me, bandy-legged who you call bandy-legged?
Come along now, Winnie. You know you haven't had your pills
Look,
today.
I can go 15 rounds with this cowboy on a glass of milk stout.
No, come on, Mrs. Sharples. It's beneath you, this sort of
Oh,
thing.
it's beneath her, is it? I suppose it's not beneath me. I suppose that's the sort of thing I do, is it?
Oh, I never open my
If
mouth.
she chucked you out of your house, she'll be screaming round here from here till Christmas, so you shut up!
Listen, I'm an old-age pensioner. I live on £3 a week. There's 20 quid a week going into that house. If your son wasn't like you, he'd have bought your house long ago. It's as big a spit as his father and that saying something.
Don't you dare bring money into this, Mrs. Sharples.
You've never gone short.
Listen to me. I've kept that house together with work and sweat. I've worked, I've been mother, father, son, everything. I've looked after my son for the last 15 years.
Oh, yes, you've got to give her that, Mrs. Sharples. And it's not easy, you know, when there's no man in the house.
She's never been short of man in their house since Arnold took his up. Any more than Fanny Hill.
Get back up to your mission, Mrs. Sharples, as fast as you can before I really get me rag out.
Oh, bang the one else to get your boots in.
Oh, so that's what you're going to do, is it? You're ganging up on us, or you? If they start anything behind my back, get them.
Oh, Ena, what do you mean, get them?
I see you, Mrs. Sharples, inciting your mates. She's not strong enough to tackle anything.
I can take you on, you Mary Ann.
Yes. But her mates down this street are not above lobbing half a brick in the back of my neck while I'm engaged in conversation.
Look, Mrs. Sharples, it's me and nobody's army.
I've handled Tanners before, Mrs. Tanner, and I'll handle you again.
You try turning me out of my house, Mrs. Sharples. Just you try turning me out, and I'll come back and all you.
Come back.
You leave me all morning down the stairs under the staircase. You won't get a bit of sleep, Dennis.
Ma'am, your sprouts are burning.
Come in here,
Get
Dennis.
great big mad Mary. I'll take you on my left hand if she starts
You
anything.
needn't worry, Mrs. Sharples. I never raise my hand in anger to a lady.
She's done it on me, Dennis.
You've
She's
got
done
things
it.
under control, ma'am.
She's
Come
done it on me. Look, come here. Look, I came into this house when I was first married. I had naught but a bed settee and a sideboard. Both my kids were born here. Call that in money terms if you can.
Oh, shut up, you daft clown.
Listen, fly pants. I don't need to do this, but if you're curious about my motives, then there's no reason why you shouldn't know. I wouldn't be doing this on you.
I didn't realise how much I missed him.
Yes, and where am I supposed to keep them? The dustbins down on the croft?
I've got some good suggestions.
What are the brick pins on the heath there with a bottle of Mets?
It's not so much you're chucking me at, it's the nasty, sneaking, sly way you did it. You've been waiting for this day for the last 70 years, haven't you, Mrs. Sharp?
She's chucking me out of me best. She's chucked me out.
Well, what do you expect me to do, cry for you?
Put your money where your mouth is, then. Go on.
I'd rather put my beer where my mouth
You'll
is.
have to move over. You'll have to move out.
If you want to move me out of that house, you'll move me in a 6-foot box.
Yes, and I'll do that and all.
Hey, well, wouldn't it be an idea if you moved in together?
You what?
Well, it were only a thought.
On a casting vote. Mr. Boothroyd, yeah. Well, he always did let his heart rule his head. Yes. Well, just as you say, Mr. Hodges. Well, my own feelings are rather mixed about it. I mean, one can only hope that it's all part of a greater pattern. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Goodbye.
Mr. Swindley, I'm sure these gloves would move faster if we could keep them under 7 shillings, even a penny under.
Button your coat, student.
Beg your pardon?
We go to bring the good news from Ghent to A.
A?
Never mind, Miss Nugent. I do sometimes permit myself a literary flight under moments of stress.
What is it, Mr. Swindley? You've gone very sallow.
Come along, Miss Nugent. I'll explain on the way.
You two-faced old bats!
You'll stay here until we've sorted this thing out one way or the other.
Get off my sleeve. I've already sorted
You
it out
are
in
not
my
holding
mind.
me up to this sort of thing and then sweeping out on me.
Now, look here. You'll only move me out of this house when I want to go. In the meantime, go jump in the cot. You... My way!
Go on, don't forget.
Put me down!
Mrs. Sharples, you're too old for this sort of thing. Anyway, your flight's academic. The mission isn't going to close. Do you hear? You can stay in your vestry.
You what?
The committee has decided to close Bow Street mission. We shall have 20 more souls to look after next Sunday. You won't need Mrs. Tanner's house.
Won't I? No, you won't.
Well, we'll see. That's a you see sense anyway. Now, look, you'll pay for this afternoon. I may not want your mangy house, but I'm still your landlord and I've still got the upper hand. What has happened this afternoon's not going to be no help to you at all.
You're still my landlord, are you?
Oh, yes, I am that.
Well, you'll pay for that window.
That was her first big mistake.
You're on that, Tim Bob. The big un to take her in round 2.